Welcome to Jim Sells the Suncoast, your go-to podcast for all things real estate on Florida's beautiful Suncoast. I'm your host, Jim, your friendly neighborhood real estate agent, and each week we dive into the vibrant world of buying and selling homes while embracing the laid-back lifestyle that makes Florida such a paradise. In our episodes, we'll explore the latest developments shaping our communities and spotlight the incredible companies and industries that play a vital role in real estate, from movers to mortgage brokers, title agents to insurance pros. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned seller, or simply dreaming of that perfect beachside bungalow, we've got insights, tips, and plenty of local flavor to guide you. So grab your sunscreen and get ready to soak up knowledge, laughs, and a little sunshine as we navigate the Suncoast together. Let's make your real estate dreams a reality, one episode at a time.
Hey, and welcome to Jim Sells the Suncoast. I am excited to have Crystal Golm on today from Golm Law Firm. She's been on with us before, and every time I speak with her, I feel like I walk away knowing more than I did when I came in. So I'm really excited to have you on here and be able to talk about short sales and foreclosures in particular today.
Thanks, Jim.
And we'll see where that goes.
Perfect.
So then we can start off even at the basics. What exactly is a short sale, and what is a foreclosure, and how are they different?
So a short sale is, by definition, anytime a borrower or a property owner owes more than the house is worth or that the house is going to sell for. So for example, if you owe $300,000 on a home and the most it's worth is $250,000, that would be a short sale. If you contacted a realtor and wanted to sell that home and the realtor said, oh, you could probably get $250,000 for it, that's not going to cover your loan. That's not going to cover your closing costs. And so that would be considered a short sale. By contrast, the foreclosure is a judicial intervention that is allowed by Florida law and by mortgages as contracts that essentially says, if you don't pay your mortgage, which is a lien on the property, the bank can foreclose on the mortgage. And it's a misnomer that the bank is going to take it back. Number one, the bank never owned it, so they're not taking it back. Number two, the bank doesn't want your house. They just want their money. So we can go through what the foreclosure process looks like, but it's basically a process of judicial intervention that gets the bank paid.
And then when you look at the two, a short sale may be a way to try to forestall a foreclosure, maybe trying to sell it and get some value for it.
So there are a few different mitigation tactics that we use in real estate law and that good realtors also know about. And this comes up when people are having difficulty making their mortgage payment, number one, or they just don't see the value in continuing to make their mortgage payment because the value of the home is so low. I have a few of those in my office now where the homes were damaged in the hurricanes. And despite the owner's best efforts and despite some insurance coming in, and it's just the value is just never going to be there. So right. They're walking away. So that's basically how that works.
So then what typically causes a homeowner to end up needing a short sale? As you're talking, it would be the value of the home is just dropped below what it's worth, and they can continue to paying, but they're never going to pay it down below what the value is.
Right. Or they're having trouble with the payment. So there's short sale, number one, and these are all very different. There's a short sale option, which requires the bank approving and accepting less than they are owed, which obviously is quite a process. We have number two, a deed in lieu of foreclosure, where you literally say, look, bank, I'm not going to be able to pay this. You don't want to spend a lot of time and attorney's fees and everything trying to foreclose. So I'm just going to deed you the house, usually in exchange for some amount of forgiveness of the loan. Not always, but sometimes. Deeds in lieu are pretty rare, but they do happen. They are an option. The bank often will want to foreclose as opposed to accepting a deed in lieu because, again, the bank is not in the business of owning property. So for them to get a deed property is not what they want. They still have to turn around and sell it and all of that. They would much rather foreclose, and then someone at the foreclosure auction will pay, hopefully, some amount of money for that house, and the bank will get their money then. They don't want the house. So deeds in lieu are rare, but that is an option in distressed property. And then foreclosure, of course, is the third one.
At what point should a homeowner contact an attorney if they're struggling with mortgage payments?
That's an excellent question. And I tell people that this is a problem that only money can fix. And there's no amount of legal wrangling or finding the most genius lawyer you can find, because the contract, the note, and the mortgage, they are contracts, and those can't be changed. And Florida law is Florida law. And so as a real estate attorney, I can present options to you, and that's what I do, and what the different costs are, what the outcomes might be. But and people have been calling lately and saying, I'm having a hard time making my mortgage payment. What happens the first time I miss my mortgage payment? And that's really a better question for their lender, because every bank is different. There are no rules with respect to loss mitigation and how the banks handle it. So my first advice isn't really legal advice. It's practical advice. It's communicate with your lender. Communicate. There's a possibility you could modify your loan. I have a couple of clients in the process of modifying their loan right now. It's hard, it's difficult. You have to supply a lot of information and stay on top of it. But you don't really need a lawyer for that. The banks have these loss mitigation departments that this is their whole job, is to help you through this. And if you can, look, if you've lost your job or become disabled and you literally can't make your payment, you just can't make your payment. Communicate with your bank. You can communicate with me too. And if you get a foreclosure notice or served with foreclosure papers, you absolutely should call a lawyer. If you want to think of deed in lieu, a lawyer is a good idea. For a short sale, a realtor is your best option, because a realtor is going to tell you the value. And if you find a realtor experienced in short sales, they will really help you with that.
So it looks like communication, the banks really just want their money or want to know that they're going to get their money. So taking a look at where do you stand in that process? If you think money's coming in, you have an inheritance, you have a bonus coming in that's going to put you back on track, talk to the bank and figure it out. If there's no money, how do we get out of this contract and close it so everybody walks away as happy as they can?
Yes, that's exactly right.
All right. How does a short sale impact the credit of somebody? What's that going to do to them?
So that's more of a banking question, but from my experience in this field for 20 years, for every missed mortgage payment, your credit score will drop, right? Because you become 30 days delinquent, 60 days, 90 days, etc. So the longer you wait, the more your credit is going to be impacted. The short sale, if it's accepted by the bank, in the scenario I just explained, let's say the bank agrees to take $250,000 and they're going to take a $50,000 loss. In that case, a couple of things happen. Number one, without a deficiency waiver, that $50,000 is called a deficiency. Without a deficiency waiver from the bank is going to still have the promissory note. Remember, the promissory note was for $300,000 and they're only getting $250,000. So without a waiver, they can still come after you for the $50,000. So always try to get a waiver. That's number one. Number two, and I know you asked about credit score, and I'm going off a little bit here, but the short sale is reported to the credit bureaus as a short pay, which is, I don't know the number of points that is off of your score, but it's not great. The quicker you can...
But it's not a paid in full.
It's not paid in full. So again, the quicker that you can decide that you're a candidate for short sale and get that process going, the more compressed in time those hits to your credit are going to be, as opposed to letting it go 9 months and then getting it listed. And then it's better to just deal with it at once.
And none of this would be a surprise. There should be communication coming in the bank saying, hey, where's our money? It's been 30 days. And you can't walk up and go, oh, I'm surprised you're trying to foreclose.
Yes, of course. And most mortgages have a 30-day notice to cure letter So they have to send a 30-day notice to cure, and it's also called an acceleration letter. They say you've missed a payment or two, now the whole thing is due. Don't be alarmed. Call your bank. Try to work with them. You don't have to come up with $300,000 this week, even though that's what the letter says.
Right, right. They want to get your attention and say, hey, this is serious.
Yes.
So when we look at the legal side of the short sale, what's the role of the attorney? What is it that you're going to be able to do the short sale for the homeowner?
Well, the things that I look for, as I said, are protection of my client when it comes to the deficiency waiver. Sometimes I'm able to talk to a lawyer for the bank on the other side, and we can talk frankly either through letters or email or on the phone about logistics, because most foreclosure lawyers for banks aren't here in Manatee County. And so as a resident and longtime lawyer here, I'm a real estate investor as well. I understand market stuff here. I'm not a realtor expert, but I think especially when I talk to lawyers like in Miami, Jacksonville, places like that, I think my perspective is really appreciated. And so I'm happy to talk to the lawyer. I will be able to talk to the lawyer. The owner will not. The lawyer will never pick up the phone and talk to them. So that's another thing, the deficiency waiver. And then explaining to the client, there's also a tax consequence to a short sale. And so I'm not a tax lawyer, but I understand the tax consequence. That $50,000, again, with my example, will be considered income because you got the benefit of the $300K, but you're not paying back the $300K. So there's a tax consequence to that. So I encourage them to talk with their CPA, and that's even with the waiver. The IRS doesn't care about the waiver. So something to consider.
So what other rights would somebody who's going through a short sale, you're nervous about it?
Can they stay in their home if they short sell it?
Yeah.
Well, they would be while it's going through.
Right. Yes, while it's going through, not after, but while it's going through.
Yes, of course. Yes, they still own it. So and what I tell people is while you're not making your mortgage payment, you should be holding as much of that money as you would normally be paying toward your living expense and save it, because this is going to come to an end one way or another. You're either going to have a short sale or you're going to have a foreclosure, and you need to have a good chunk of money either to buy another home, or your spouse buys it because your credit is shot, whatever the case may be, or you get seller financing or something non-traditional financing.
I was just talking about what the seller's rights are, whether they can stay in the house. We know
Yes,
what
they
should
can
do.
definitely stay in
They're
the
not
house.
making that payment.
They should
hold on
save
to
as
that
much money as they can. They're either going to have to rent or buy something.
Now let's look at maybe from the other side, and you hear it on TV. They have them all over the place. People are buying foreclosures or buying short sales and think this is a great way to invest in property, make a killing, or going to buy really low. They're going to do these things. That's not really the case.
Well, no. So the way investors buy foreclosure properties is at the foreclosure auction. So typically the foreclosure has been going on for a minimum of 6 months, a maximum of, gosh, who knows? I had a client who was in foreclosure for 18 years. So ever since 2008, they've been in foreclosure. So that's a big spread. But anyway, the way that the investors, buy foreclosure properties is at the auction. They register online. It's an online auction. The bank will have a minimum bid, which is a secret. Usually they don't put that on there. And so the bidding will open, and it's just kind of like eBay, and they bid. So whether it's a good idea, whether it's a good investment, just depends on the value, just like all investments. What's the asset worth, and how much are you willing to pay, and what's the upside when you turn around and sell it? There's no magic to foreclosures, none. The other thing, and let me just share this with you. When people don't make their mortgage payment, they also typically don't make their homeowners association or condo fee payment. They just can't. And it doesn't make sense to if they're going to lose the home. So the associations will foreclose as well. They also have foreclosure lien rights. So I've talked to a couple of investors who they think they're so clever, and they think they just bought this property for $5,000 or $10,000 because that's how much the association's foreclosure was. What they don't realize is that, yes, they did buy it at the foreclosure auction, but it's subject to this great big mortgage, a first mortgage. Mm-hmm. And they don't do a title search ahead of time. They don't see what other liens are out there. There's a $3,000 water bill. They just think they got this great deal because they saw a little number for a house. Okay. So if you're going to buy a house in foreclosure, you should either do your own title search or have one done, because there could be loans above it in priority that are not mentioned in the foreclosure complaint. If you see a couple of banks or a couple of judgments, that's everything that came after that mortgage. They don't have to alert anybody above them.
So I think what you're saying too is this is not just a walk-in. You need to know what you're doing. You need to do your due diligence. That still applies to everything that's going on with the home, and then following the process and being familiar with it.
Yeah, it's not something to be taken lightly. If anyone needs a lawyer, it's probably somebody doing that, frankly, more than the homeowner going through a short sale, although it's beneficial for them as well. But really, the investors, they need to have a title search done or know how to do one themselves.
Right. And what about taxes? We didn't really talk about taxes, but that's another component that could have the same kind of impact.
Are you talking about property taxes or federal taxes? Property taxes. So if you have a mortgage, your mortgage company, most of the time, most people have their mortgage payments include escrow for taxes and insurance. Right. When you stop making your mortgage payments, the bank, in order to preserve their own their asset, they will go ahead and pay the insurance and they will pay the taxes. They're not going to let those lapse. If you don't have them escrowed and you just skip the tax payment, right, which just passed, the deadline for the tax payment just passed in April. And if you don't make that tax payment, it will go into, it's complicated, it's a whole other thing, but it will go, the taxing authority will sell a tax certificate to the public for the amount of taxes owed. And then to redeem that, you're going to have to pay the amount of the tax plus 18%. So after 2 years, the certificate holder can apply for a tax deed and kick you out because they will own the house.
So if somebody is in a situation where they're contemplating short sale or they're worried about foreclosure, what's the first thing they should do tomorrow?
Tomorrow is call their bank. Really, just back to that, communicate with the bank. It's not like it was in 2008 where we were all caught flat-footed and it happened very suddenly, and it was really kind of scary, actually. It's this little bit of a slide in values combined with the interest rates, et cetera, whatever this perfect storm is that's causing foreclosures to go tick up a little bit, not like it was in 2008. And the large lenders, again, back then they didn't have these loss mitigation departments. It was whoever you got on the phone, and it changed from day to day. Now most people are assigned almost like a case manager that they communicate with from start to finish. It's pretty great, actually. Much better than it used to be.
Unfortunately, we went through that and learned quite a bit.
Yes.
And it still happens. We're not in the same market. We're not in the same kind of situation. But it's still an important point that people can really hurt themselves for now and the future by not following the process and what you need to do to take care of this appropriately.
And we're talking about short sales and foreclosures. There's, of course, the deed in lieu, which I said is rare. But modifications, banks, they don't want your house. They don't want to foreclose. They just want you to pay your loan. And so again, let's say your mortgage payment is $2,400 and that's a reach for you or impossible for you, but you can afford something less than that, then you're a great candidate for a modification. And for a modification, you definitely want an attorney because that's going to be a whole new contract that modifies the old one. You need to understand the numbers, what it means, what it doesn't mean, what happens if you default again, etc. So definitely modification. It seems like it's always on the table. As long as you have a job or income, modification is always on the table.
That's not the time to DIY.
No, definitely not. No. Or use AI. There's just some things that
Yeah,
AI
I
is
know.
great. We all love it, right? It's a great
Right.
tool, but dealing with your house and the potential of losing it is not really the time to cheap out and just rely on the computer. No.
Anything else along this area or this avenue of thought that you want to present or bring up and mention that we haven't covered?
Well, I think when it comes to this talk about distressed property, it's unpleasant, it's unfair, it can be embarrassing for people. What's most important is that you don't stick your head in the sand and pretend like it's not happening or that it's going to get better somehow. Talk to your bank, see what their options are. And then once you, whatever path you start down, keep going because it's all difficult. Getting a modification, not easy. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of back and forth. It's a lot of waiting, hand wringing. Stick with, same with the short sale. It's not easy. It's a whole process. It's frustrating. It's time consuming. It's scary. Stick with it. And then foreclosure, same type of thing. Stick with it to the end. Save as much money as you can. Be ready to move. I'll tell you, if you hire a lawyer for your foreclosure, it's not going to be done in 6 months. There's no way. It's just the courts are so backed up. Even without a defense, which most people don't have, there's no way it can be done within 6 months. But if you hire a lawyer who can at least do some filings and things for you, you can drag it out for some time and allow yourself to save money so you can move. So that's what I would say. Stay the course.
So, Crystal, thank you for joining me on this. This is a complex and confusing topic for a lot of people that they shouldn't take lightly. And if anybody has any questions, we'll have your contact information in the show notes. Reach out, touch base with Crystal. She can help guide you through this wealth of knowledge, and having done it, you know what's going on.
I'm happy to. Thanks, Jim, for having me. I think this is an important topic.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another sunny episode of Jim Sells the Suncoast. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the ins and outs of buying and selling homes here in our beautiful slice of Florida. I hope you found valuable insights and a little bit of inspiration to help you on your real estate adventure. Remember, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or simply soak up the Suncoast lifestyle, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review so that we can keep shining bright together. Until next time, keep dreaming big and let's turn those dreams into a reality, one home at a time.